in the upper left now in the red. He's playing for Team Liquid. He's got a polar bear by his name. It's Clem. And at the bottom right here in Group B for Basilisk Gaming, it's Reynor. And I understand that today we're doing a game from Group B, and yesterday was Group C, but let's be real. This is Clem, this is Reynor. And from everything I've seen, from everything I've heard about this series in particular, not just Clem and Reynor playing against each other, which in and of itself is a fantastic matchup. This series, as I've been told from the little I've seen of it, and I haven't seen a ton, is absolutely dynamite. We need to fix something 1 second. There we go. Is absolutely dynamite. Like, I don't know yet. You know, I haven't seen much of it. I've just heard rumors, but game of the year, series of the year type caliber game. So for now, Clem's opening with a bit of a proxy, but it's not your standard. Whether it's whether it's 2 at home, 1 abroad, he's going 1-1. And he's going to be building Reapers out of at least one of these, probably both of these. There's a world where he does actually, you know what? This is TPZ. There's not even a world. There should be 2 Reapers coming out from Clem right now, and it's a lot of pressure. But more importantly, it's pressure that Reynor won't really see. By scouting this out, he's going to see, okay, 1 barracks in the wall. That's fine. But he won't know much more than that. So for now, the Reapers are going to pop out here. And this might catch Reynor off guard just by a little bit, because again, he's going to see the single Reaper. He's going to see the command center on the way eventually. And yes, it is slow. It is slow for a single barrack setup, but he might be assuming there's something in the main base. The speed that the second Reaper is going to arrive out of this proxy, that's kind of the big issue right now. So the Reapers show up on the other side. No damage yet. And the Queen's going to be out soon, but the damage now gets started here. Oh, the double KDA charge almost got a drone, but it's not going to work. And now Reynor blocking things off just buys time. He needs the Queen to come out. Doesn't want to lose any more links, and he will be able to do so, but a drone will fall regardless. So first blood goes there to Clem, and look at this. Because this is a proxy here, he's committing to a couple more Reapers. He's going to 4, which isn't exactly a breakpoint, right? So 6 Reapers, 1 shot a worker. Actually, no, that is true, right? Because, no, it's 3 Reapers, 2 shot. 4 Reapers don't do anything different. You have to get up 6 to 1. No, it's 5. Anyway, 4. Regardless of what the math is, it does continue to snowball here just a little bit as Clem micros backwards, and that's the high energy Queen. So Clem feels really confident diving on top here. The 1 Queen goes low, 2 Reapers deputize. He gets it, and there's no speed. It's not going to be ready for just a little bit longer, so that's just a dead Queen early on. And we can see Reynor immediately. He wanted to take that 3rd base at the triangular position, and we saw it wireframed off screen for just a second. That's not what's happening anymore. Reynor is going to have to slow things down, losing that Queen like he did. That's a lot of power early on as he dodges 1 charge, dodges the 2nd, looks to corral these Reapers as well as he can. He's going to get them. The Reapers will fall, at least the majority of them. Maybe 1 gets at it. It seems like 1 will. But that is 3 Reapers for the cost of 10 lings, a Queen, a drone. Clem would have preferred to not lose them, but he's kind of okay with this. He really, really is. Getting that Queen, delaying the 3rd base as he did, getting 5 larvae, 5 drones worth of lings, getting another drone there. That's really big news for Clem. And behind this, by the way, he's got his 3rd command center on the way. This is not real. This is not going into a 4-racks or something. This is not really heavily, this is not overcommitting into the early game. Is Reynor just looking for that opportunity when the barracks was going to float up for a site, where the factory was going to float up, barracks was going to go down, maybe he could find his way in. But Clem SimCity says absolutely not, and he was quick on the draw anyways. So Reynor tried to be a little bit cheeky, dive on top, unsuccessful there. And now we're in this situation where the 3rd hatch for Reynor is going to be done after the 3rd command center of Clem. So Reynor now, is this game unwinnable for him? Absolutely not. Make no mistake about it, this game is still manageable for the Italian player, but it's not a good position. He has taken significant damage here in Clem, between the stim timing, between already getting tanks on the map, medevacs starting to join the fray, that 3rd barracks, 3rd base done. Clem has put himself in a fantastic position. And Reynor, for his part, he understands that while this is, actually he doesn't understand that this is a 3 command center play, not for the moment, but he does understand that there are prospective pushes that will come out of Clem in the next minute, 2 minutes that will be difficult to deal with. So for now, it's going to be roaches. He's got 7 of them on the map, on the docket, but he's droning behind this. So this is defensive roaches, I think. He's not going to have a hive, or he's not going to have a layer up soon enough, so it's not going to be some sort of roach speed timing. He's getting roaches out right now just to make sure that when this inevitable, I hesitate to call it a 2-1-1, but this inevitable push comes out of Clem, he's going to have enough stuff ready. So between queens and roaches, realistically, this pressure, at least straight up, shouldn't get that much done. Now, you put it into drops, you start to go around the map. Yeah, sure, that can be a problem. But in the circumstances of this game, how things are going, this should be fine. But there we go. Clem sees the roaches, picks up into the main base here. There are already lings underneath, and well, 15 marines, 16 marines, if they're all unloaded and they have stim, are scary. Well, they can't unload onto a bunch of lings. The surrounds will be there, and that's going to happen. So queens on the low ground, lings on the high ground, but actually, because of the high ground, low ground play, there's just not enough lings here. So again, Clem finds just a little bit of damage. The queens really need to start spreading this creep onto the edge, because Clem wants to dive on top regicide once again. At the very least, their energy will fall. 1 queen goes down, 2nd queen goes down, and this should be the death knell for this 4th base coming out of, well, actually, no, I guess the roaches will arrive in time. I thought it was going to be worse than it was. So not the death knell for the 4th, but certainly still damage in the extreme. Now these roaches, it's only 3 roaches. Yeah, it transfuses, but a lot of that transfuse energy was spent earlier, so roaches continue to go down. And by the way, Reynor is committing to these roaches more. He's not transitioning into Lingbane all that quickly behind this. He's got 1-1 ranged on the way. And his supply is not skyrocketing. Not in army, not in supply, or not in workers either. He's just solidly behind, but what he is doing, he's taking a page out of Dark's book. And actually, this is something that we saw Cyril do against Maru as well, where it just seems like all the Zergs are back to this Roach, Ling, and Fester style. At least maybe until the patch drops, and who knows. Maybe things will change. Certainly infestors are getting buffed and nerfed at the same time. They come out with more energy, but the fungals do less damage. So, you know, 6 one way, half dozen the other. Regardless, infestation pit just about done here. We should see probably 2 infestors pop out on the map for those eventual fungals, and there we go. And behind this, we should start to see a hive. So Reynor wants to go into the late game really as quick as possible, and that's how, for the most part, Zergs have been choosing to play their TVZs for a while now. It's not about the mid game. Certainly, sometimes a Zerg can win, especially say Esu or in a laser or something. But for the most part, the top level Zergs, the Darks, the Reynors, the Cyrils, they don't want to play the mid game. The mid game is pretty heavily Terran favored. They don't want to play the late game either. Realistically, Turtle Mech or Turtle Ghost Mech is a powerful thing once you get to it. But if they can get to the late game faster, they can drop lurkers on the map, or Lingbane Ultra or something, although again that's less common. If they can get to lurkers, or even just Vipers and Adrenal is a solid place to be. That's the timing where the Zerg is going to start to look and say, yeah, I'm in a really good spot. I want to go, and I can start to do damage to the Terrans. This base will get canceled here, but this army of Clems is disgusting. That is so many Marines. There are tanks. There are 1-1 done. This is not an army that Reynor can fight. He's equal on supply with the Terran. And yes, infestors, fungals, they may make the difference, but Clem, he should have his pre-splits ready. He should be aware of what's happening. Your scan gets dropped. He knows what the damage is. 1 infestor goes down. Biles are great, and that will be a dead medevac, a dead tank. Biles, well, they're actually not going to be ready to chase up, to get ready with these fungals. So still, Reynor's going to try to get on top of this. The Marines are fighting, Infester fighting back as long as he can. The Roaches now, they're dead, and Clem wants to get on top of this, but he can't. Because there's just enough army behind this that the Marines will not be able to get the Ravagers on top of the Roaches. And that singular fungal made that fight possible. Took half the damage on a full third of the Marines. And imagine you had, maybe not a third of the Marines, some still go down, but imagine that you had 5 more Marines, 10 more Marines. Suddenly Clem is jumping on those Ravagers, and maybe the game ends, or at least the base goes down. Instead, though, Clem takes a good trade, and, you know, I would think he would be able to cancel the space, but instead a missed rally there means these Marines, 2 of them get saved, but most of them will go down. Instead, it means that Reynor keeps that right side base alive. He can get more infestors out. That's fine. He's got a Hydra Den on the way. We should see lurkers soon. 2 Vipers here. Reynor, he's not out of the woods yet. Not by a long stretch, but it seems like he has been able to stabilize at least a little bit here, start to make himself a little bit more comfortable, and he will stay 1 base up. For the most part, at least, we'll be able to stay 1 base up on this Terran as a fungo goes down. Infestors just trying to run away, but body blocked by its own units. Even still, Biles land. And Reynor gets a solid trade there, denies the drop, and this is the power of this composition. Wait, are those? That's a lurker den, and that's a lurker den. So sometimes we see double lurker, and it's like, well, okay, the Zerg made a mistake. They put 1 in the natural, and then 10 seconds later, they put 1 in the main because they just lose track of timing. These lurker dens they were made at the same time. They were both made in the natural here. Reynor wants to go for a seismic spine and lurker burrow timing. He wants to have both of them timed out with, it's not really going to time out with upgrades, I don't think. His +2 attack is just about to be done, +3 won't be ready. But he's going to have this powerful timing where he's going to have both lurker upgrades and a couple of Vipers. And Clem, I mean, what's his count at? He's got 3 ghosts. He's going up to 5. He's building 2 at a time. He should have a 7, 9 ghosts, something like that. But this idea of this double lurker timing is not something we get all that often. And in a game where, you know, for a while, Reynor was under the gun. Significantly under the gun. But more recently, he has been able to trade better. These fungals have been really nice. He can kind of afford it. So now taking the forward base, taking the left side base, moving up to 7 bases on the map. Pretty much every single base that the Zerg can take, actually. Not even pretty much every single base that is on the Zerg side of the map. Reynor now attempting to lay claim to it. And we're going to have this timing when, again, seismic spines, lurker burrow, adrenal glands, all of +1 melee, +3 carapace, all of these things are going to type out not exactly the same timing, but pretty similar here as a fungal. Thinks about it, lands the fungal there, tanks in the high ground, make it a little bit harder, but still Marines will fall, and well, tanks will get a couple lings on the left side. But seismic spine's done. Lurker burrow done here. Now snipes are going to go off, and it will get 1 lurker there. But now this is Reynor's timing. Maybe you time it out with +3 as Biles kill a tank. Very nice there, Reynor. But Adrenal, just about done. +3 done in 20 seconds-ish. It does seem to make sense that we would expect to see Reynor make something of this timing. Or at least make something of the idea of this timing. But for right now, this push from Clem, taking the high ground base. This feels like Fortress Europe. This feels like Gibraltar. Impossible. Absolutely impossible for Reynor to be able to take. So instead, he's going to segment roaches off onto the left side. Try to find some value, but this is 3-3 bio against 2-2 roaches. I mean, yeah, you're not going to trade efficiently. Granted, Reynor doesn't want to trade 100% efficiently. He just wants to find some value out of this as more snipes will go down here. 2 more lurkers fall. And again, this timing that we're talking about, okay, fungals go down. That's going to be pretty nice. 3 ghosts, maybe hit the deck. In fact, Reynor only gets 1. But this timing that we were talking about, double lurker upgrades. Wow, this seems really nice. It's just not happening at all here. And he got a Viper too. No, he didn't. Okay, never mind. It was only 2 Vipers. I could have sworn he got a Viper. Regardless, we talked about trades. About it was maybe 3,000 in the good, 2,500 in the good for Clem. Well, now it's 4,000. Now it's 5,000. Actually, close enough. Yeah, it's 5,000 resources. Clem has just been trading with no regard for Zerg life at all here. And this slow push of the Terran. First of all, we got to point this out. This was not a skill in, this was not nearly as much of a skill in Clem's playbook as that run and gun mid-game style that he's been so good at for so long. So to see him doing this is powerful, but here comes the surround. Blinding clouds on the backside, tanks the front line. They're just not getting that many shots off. The Banelings continue to run forward, which means the Ghosts, they can't get their shots off. They're just going to take drips and drabs of damage. And Reynor, he's going to get all the tanks on the front line, not the tanks on the back line. But now if we look at supply here, it's 14 Ghosts, 8 tanks. That felt like a great surround. It just doesn't get nearly as much as a Ghost still stays alive here. they're tanky as hell. They don't have that light tag. They do not die easily. And now they're just going to take the fight, microing backwards as well as they can. More tanks will fall. But they two-shot Lings. You know, they don't care. They are very strong in this straight-up fight. On top of, let's be clear, on top of the snipe, they, against Hydras, against Lings, they fight very well. They don't take a lot of damage because, again, they don't have an armor tag or a light tag. And they just do significant bonus damage to light units. It is a significant difference as this fungal on the right side does go off. Even as the EMP hits it, still, we see the Ghosts at least take some damage. Let's see what Reynor can make happen this time. Again, the Lings are going to go forward. Blinding Cloud not ready yet. It's actually kind of whiffs. I don't even know that against the tank, really. Not a great trade from Reynor right now. And again, when you fight a Terran like this, there are always two fights. There's the one when you engage, or the first fight where the Terran has to respond to the Zerg. They're kiting backwards. The snipes go down, get 9 drones instantaneously. But there are always two fights that the Terran's going to take. Again, the one they're reacting to the Zerg. They're kiting backwards. They're making sure that the Banelings don't connect. And then there's the second one when they stim forward, when they can make something happen here, when the snipes go down. And Clem did not take enough damage on the first fight, so the second one, intensely powerful. So Reynor gets his trade. He's going to get the base, or he's going to lose the base on the right side. He's going to lose his interior base, that fourth base that he's had for so long. And behind this, Fusion Core on the way. So more Liberator power, Blue Flame to make sure that eventually these Hellbats with +3, they one-shot Lings. Clem is getting further and further into this Ghost Hellbat tank, Ghost Hellbat Thor, Ghost Hellbat Liberator. There are a couple options. This late game composition. And Reynor, by the way, he's got these infestors all over the place. And by the way, we should point out that Reynor almost never plays infestors, so it's cool to see him do that here as one will go down there on the inopportune scan. But there's no Neural. And while, yes, popping up for a fungal can be very nice, it feels like against ghost counts like this, it's often better to just get the Neural. Neural one Ghost EMP the rest, and that actually takes more power out of the Ghost than anything else. Unless, of course, you're in a really good position to take a fight, but I mean, it's not often, especially when they pop up here. It feels like they just instantaneously die, so you have to be very, very careful. As now the Infestor goes down. Fungal only hits about half the army, but does seem to hit most of the Ghosts now. Gonna have to run away here. Banelings come marauding forward. Target fire to the Banes with the tanks. Clem doing a great job right there. EMPs go forward, and personal cloaking. There's no detection. So yeah, you know what? That fungal was fantastic. Scan now gets dropped. Reynor on the retreat cannot take a good fight. And we should start to see some snipes go down very quickly. EMPs on the on the Vipers as well. It was something, but it was not nearly good enough here. 15,000 resources in the good for Clem at this point. And yeah, you know what? He's only mining out of 6 bases. Reynor has 7. Well, he had 7. Now he's got 5. In fact, Raynor's down a base at the moment. But Clem is quite rightly, he's fine with this. He's got 2,000 in the bank. He's slowly taking his bases. He's trading so well. Yeah, you know, if he's got 1 less base than the Zerg, who cares? And now we're gonna see snipes go down once again. Reynor transitioned back into lurkers. And it feels like he's just at a loss of what to do. He can't afford broods. There's just not enough there. As now Fungal goes down. That's a great fungal. A lot of these Ghosts will hit the deck. You can't pick him up, can't save him, can't cloak him. So this is going to be a solid fight for Reynor right now, getting on top of 2-3 tanks, getting a bunch of Ghosts. Blinding Cloud as well is very nice. Now the lurkers are going to run forward, but now we move into Liberator problems. They don't have attack upgrades, but they do have that range. So there actually aren't enough Vipers. There aren't enough Hydras to deal with this. So as the army runs forward with the snipes as well, just the scans here, we will see army start to die more and more. Vipers abducting the lurker, or abducting Ghosts. Again, nice job there. But Reynor, sincerely, he does need more. You might point out that, wow, Clem's bank, his mineral bank was dead for a second. Yeah, he's building 4 command centers. This is not the degradation of Clem's bank. He's just investing in the late game just a little bit more, investing in his future. Because a wise man once said that society prospers when men plant trees that they will never see the shade of, and well, Clem will absolutely see the shade of these command centers. So I guess maybe his society is prospering even more here. Lings on the backside just trying to confuse shots, and these +3 Hellbats are shredding They're annihilating the Lings, the ghosts, the lurkers, everything runs forward, and it all dies. Clem plays a masterful late game TVZ. Game 1. Reynor, quite honestly, Reynor didn't look like he had a chance in that game. Clem ran him ragged. And now we find our way into game number 2 here of this series. Babylon, another Terran map, and in the upper left, in the red, up 1, it's Clem. And in the bottom right, in the blue, down a game here for Basilisk, it's Reynor. And as we get into this game number 2, and as we talk about this series as a whole, I would like to remind you all that if you like awesome games featuring Maru and Reynor and Clem and Cyril and MaxPax and Jan and all of these top players, you should make sure to subscribe to this channel, because literally every single day, or at least the majority of them, sometimes we talk about balance changes, or we talk about Stormgate and other things. In general, though, most days out of the week, you're gonna get a best of 3, you're gonna get a best of 5, you're gonna get a best of 7 with some of the top players in the world here. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let me know what the hell Reynor was supposed to do in that game number 1, because it didn't look like he had a shot. Clem was dominant. And also, if you want to catch me live, I stream on Twitch most evenings around 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern, something like that, either with live gameplay or with replays from the tournaments that are happening as much as I can, because I am also getting a PhD, and that does suck some of my time in the evenings on occasion. More so than I would have liked as of late. But anyway, twitch.tv/BeoMulf, sub to the channel. That's that shilling done, because we got to talk about this game number 2 here. And the key thing, the difference between game 2 and game 1 is the fact that Clem is not dropping a proxy. This is standard. This is the Clem that we think of when we say, wow, it's a Clem TVZ. And that is one of the things that we do have to bring up when we talk about this series, or we talk about game number 1. Clem is one of those players, and I feel like in general, European players tend to fall into this trap, where I can look at Clem and see he's going to play a TVZ, and I can tell you that 9 times out of 10, he's going to open with a Reaper Expand into a third base, into Hellion Banshee play. That is going to be what he does. Now, where he goes from there, sometimes 8 racks, sometimes 4th base, but in general, the opener is, oh, he gets a drone early on. That's not supposed to happen. A single Reaper there getting a drone without even really having to use a KD8 charge as well. That's really nice. He tries to dive on top and get the creep tumor, and actually the KD8 charge forces this queen far off creep, so it's going to take a little bit longer, but we're fine. Anyway, the fact that Clem opened 2 racks, 1 barracks at home, 1 barracks abroad, that type of proxy, more Reapers than even BeoMulf will do for the most part at this stage in the game. Well, to see him do that, to really flex something different. First of all, it got significant damage. It got a queen, it got a drone, it got 10 lings. But on top of that, now it's the fear of God in Reynor a little bit. Now Reynor has to play this series playing maybe a little bit more conservative. He knows that Clem is at least showing the idea of doing something more than Reaper Expand into a third base, into a Banshee play. Although in this game, this is going to be exactly that: Reaper Expand, third CC, Hellion Banshee. But because Clem showed something different in game number 1, Reynor can't make the assumption that that is going to be the same thing we see in every game in the series now. So he's going to have to play a little tighter, maybe play a little bit less greedy. But anyway, on the other side, as much as I'm talking about what Reynor has to do, he's going to find lings into the main base here. That's really nice SimCity, though. So actually, literally nothing died. I thought it was going to at least get an SCV. So that's a tiny smidgen of lost mining time. I mean, yeah, we can see it drop down for just a second. But in general, yeah. That's just Reynor losing some lings on the altar of trying to find something, but Clem is ready for it. Or not ready for it, but he responded appropriately. And now the Hellion's starting to shark around a little bit more, feeling comfortable to get on the map. Now that that run by happened, you can be fairly confident that Reynor's not going to try that a second time. You don't want to spend that much more larva on Lings when you can spend it on drones and developing your economy. So now 6 Hellions on the map, Reaper on the map here, creep removal squad active. Oh, he's gonna get 2 tumors as well. Very nice there, Clem. He's gonna dive on top of this queen, high energy queen, KDA charge as well. He's gonna snipe a queen. And I know. Don't get too excited, Bale. This is 5 minutes in. You don't snipe queens with Hellion Reaper. It just doesn't happen. So between the yeah, you know, he lost to Hellion. He did lose a Banshee somewhere else. So maybe that's what it was. Okay, this is not quite as exciting because it does appear that Clem lost a Banshee, not microing it appropriately to maybe another set of queens. And okay, there's the cloak though. That's gonna be a little bit nicer, but getting a queen is nice. Sacrificing a Banshee for it, even if it is indirect, without getting a single drone, not as nice, not as effective, not as exciting. So I withdraw my statement just a tiny bit. Still a great play from Clem, but maybe it would have been better to keep the Banshee alive. So now the question, more than anything, is where do we go from here? So we've had a couple more punches in the early game. And by the way, this is interesting here. Clem got himself a third Banshee. You know, he lost the one. I guess the logic is, okay, you know what? I got a queen. It's kind of okay. And I want to make sure I can one-shot drones. So he's going to try to fly in at a weird timing. 7 minutes, 640. You expect Banshees to be done by then. But, well, ooh, this is a... Oh, okay, I guess there's enough energy for one transfuse. But hey, now the worker damage is getting done here. 5 drones go down. These queens have to be careful. There's not enough energy for another transfuse. He's going to get a second queen. 5 drones, a queen here in the main. And that's probably going to be the end of it. But you know what I want to see Clem do right now? Pull the Banshees off into a corner, drop a mule, or repair them, do it again. There is no world where Reynor expects that one. And realistically, like 200 minerals, a queen's worth 150. Like, if you get a queen... Yeah, because again, a mule is worth about 200 minerals, is the logic there. So call on the repair, maybe call it 250. If you get a queen and you get a couple more drones, and you're able to do it more up tempo, and Reynor's maybe not ready for it, that because again, the queens didn't have a lot of energy. They have to inject, and they had spent their transfuse energy early. There's a world where you snipe both queens, maybe. But regardless, Clem's not going to do that for now. Shoving out on the map, drilling claws on the way, +1/+1, just about done, +2 attack on the way. We got to talk about this creep spread from Reynor because it is horrific. And by the way, again, this was Clem going Hellion Banshee. That is a composition that is supposed to deal with creep. Clem has creep outside of his natural at 8 minutes. This is not okay, and the Ling run by is going to do very nicely as well here. Friendly fire a little bit on the Widow Mines. And 4 SCVs will go down. The Banshees at home are going to try to hold down the fort. The Medivacs as well. But Reynor is causing significant damage. He doesn't have Baneling speed, though. So the Banelings, as they run in, there are no tanks to kill them. But the Marines on their split should be doing okay here. And now, finally, this creep, for the most part, is getting dealt with. Downtown Widow Mine, but that's going to get healed by the Queens. By the way, we're looking at 12 Queens here. This is a heavy Queen count coming on in from Reynor right now. Clem is just fighting them, bleeding them dry of energy, but that just buys time 7 seconds until Baneling speed is going to be done, but they're not ready yet. So Clem, despite that, he loses the Widow Mines, he loses the Hellbats here. He doesn't have quite the power that he would like to have, quite the tech he would like to have in this push anymore. But now Baneling speed is done. Reynor has to run away. Widow Mine drop into the natural. How good are your splits, Reynor? Well, they're just not. He's not paying attention. 6 workers go down, 9 workers go down. And yeah, these Widow Mines will eventually fall. But 16 drones. Well, I guess 10 drones. 13 as we see them start to go down even more. It's a decent worker damage that Reynor just took, but it's in the context of an 80 worker economy, a 90 worker economy, a little bit less impressive. So for now, Widow Mines, they will get cleaned up here. Only going to get 1 shot. Oh, as I say that, 25 workers go down somewhere else. Was that the natural? I'm assuming that was the natural. I'm not actually sure. Regardless, in the blink of an eye, Reynor just lost 25 drones. And yes, you know what? He resupplies himself pretty quickly. He'd back up to 86 workers immediately, but that's still expensive. Still not exactly cost efficient as he's down. Well, I guess he killed something. Okay, he dealt with a drop on the bottom right side, I think. But, you know, 1,000 resources lost this stage of the game. Not horrible for Reynor. We did see, of course, Clem's late game looked incredible in that last game. But this one's actually going a little bit slower, and it doesn't feel like Clem's transitions are quite as snappy as they were previously. He went tanks in game 1, so he had a heavy tank count pretty much the entire time. Instead of this pit stop into Drilling Claw Widow Mines that really didn't get much done. Well, okay, that's not fair. He got 25 drones, or 32 drones, or whatever it was, but didn't allow Clem to get a base, didn't allow him to fight the army all that much. So that means the ghost transition, the tank transition, is a little slower. And that means now that by the time that seismic spines are going to be done here, 4 lurkers on the map, by the way, 2 of them in a dropper lord trying to find their way into the main base, maybe eventually. Clem won't have nearly as many ghosts. You won't have nearly the immediate response to the lurkers like he did have in that previous game. And now lurkers are going to get damage done here. Clem, too much damage. You either drop a scan or you run away, and he's going to do the second. But even still, that was a lot of damage that the French phenom just took. And by the way, you know, we talked about that creep outside of his third. He still's got to deal with it in the middle of the map, that pushing position that a Terran generally loves to shove through. Well, there's creep. There are not just creep, there are queens pretty much in that position right now. So lurker drop into the main base here. Well, the Marines are going to stim down the ramp. They're going to try to get as many queens as possible. Transfuses are nice. They get 1 before the lings, the banelings. They filter around here, try to find some of that value. And this map is feeling very, and I mean very claustrophobic for Clem right now. That's a nice concave, though, that will afford him some level of power on this left side. But the lurkers in the main, they're not in 1 scan. That much is for daggone sure. And we don't have ghosts out, at least not in significant numbers. There's 1 ghost on the field. And the scans are just not finding the value that they would like here. This is a long cleanup that it's going to take a while for Clem to clean this up. And that is distraction that Reynor's going to be able to use to run on into this 4th base. So here comes the army of Reynor. Now, the baneling's actually on the right side. That's a horrible fight. Reynor gets shredded now, but he's going to try to bait the army down the ramp with the burrowed banes. Reynor gets some, the burrowed banelings, and he closes the army off. Are you kidding me? Reynor. At the end of the day, is that going to break a base open? No. Is it going to make the biggest of differences? Not really. It's an absolutely Chad play. 100%. That's so cool. Normally we see the defensive player like get it down low and then they crush it on the army, and it's kind of cool that way. But Burrowed Banelings and then I think a Ling got the last of it to get the majority of that army and just segment off the rest of it, saying, no, you can't come down. Like I can escape with the rest of my army. This is going to be fine. What an incredible play from Reynor. Now, again, this game is far from over. Both players are maxed out. Their economies are fantastic. I mean, Clem does have a creep problem. He really does have a creep problem that he will have to deal with. And lurkers here on the way. Bio's going to have to stim forward. And Banshees actually from the early game, they can provide at least some value there. And help you clean things up, help you maybe extra damage there on the lurkers as long as the queens aren't there to defend. But of course, there are 6-7 queens on the right side. The longer Clem stays here, the more of Reynor's army gets centralized onto this position. So we need to see Clem really fortify it. Snipes go down, getting queens, getting lurkers. That's a nice move. That really is going to start to open this up a little bit. But Reynor says, no, not on my watch here. Let's go back. Run away, Clem. Because, well, it wasn't properly set up just yet. The ghosts are running away. They're going to cloak personally, but banelings manually detonate. They're going to get a bunch of ghosts there. The base will fall. And, you know, good news for Clem. In fact, he did have the planetary wasn't ready yet. He was able to cancel it, and now he can save five SCVs. They hop into the command center. They run away. But Clem just lost about 50 supply in the blink of an eye right there. He just wasn't ready. His army was not prepped properly. And now it's going to be a struggle to take this position once again. Now Lings and Banes again running forward here. Another tank will fall. Now the question, so the one thing that Reynor's lacking, he's got some spellcasting, right? He's got Vipers, but no Infestors. And yes, Clem is not an Infestor player. Last game really did feel like an anomaly. But the concept of a bird Infestor coming in from the flank on a situation like this just to help you hold the high ground when you have that vision superiority, that would spark joy for in a Zerg's heart, right? It would mean that it's just that much harder for Clem to go and run up the ramp. So Reynor, here he comes again from the north, south and the east side, trying to get on top of the tanks. We'll get one at the start, getting a second one here. Bailing's getting some really solid connection on the Marines. But again, it's the Ghost that kite backwards here. It's not, well, as I say that, not nearly as impressive. The base goes down. We were watching the army fight, but the base does fall. That being said, Clem, a bit of an opportunity here, thinks maybe he can bust a base in exchange, but he's down 20 army supply. He's down significantly in workers as well. Reynor just has these continuous remaxes of 40, 50 Lings at a time. And I'm not sure whether, I guess that random Ghost went forward to try to get EMPs on the Vipers, but it didn't seem all that successful. So now that counter push coming out of Clem doesn't seem all that powerful anymore. Like, he had a slim timing before Reynor really reinforced and got Banelings up and got Lurkers up again and everything else. But at this point, kind of seems like a slim option. And again, Reynor's just setting up here. He's got a cluster on the right, cluster down below, and every single time just runs forward here. Again, the concave moving in. This time there's maybe a couple structures that might cause some problems. But if Insanity is doing the same thing again and expecting a different result, well, Reynor is perfectly sane because he's doing the same thing again and he expects the same result. Burrowed Banes are nice. Reynor triggers the last one because why not? He gets 24 SCVs. He breaks the position once again. He's trading army for army and economy. That means that, yeah, you know what? He's down 7,000 resources, but Clem just can't take the base. And as game one looked almost untouchable for Clem, game two, well, actually, a little bit better for Reynor there. Certainly he won, but Clem could never establish the fifth, and that is not how you win a TVZ. So now we're tied up at 1-1 here going to game three. And now for the last time in this series, in the bottom right, just absolutely treating us in the first two games. For Team Liquid, it's Clem. And the upper left in the blue, striking back in game number two, it's Reynor. And the one thing that I haven't talked about here is the stakes of this game. Reynor's 2-2. Clem is 3-1. This is the last match they play in their group, in Group B of Masters Colosseum. And Reynor, a win here would secure his position. A win here says absolutely you're on into the playoffs. The reigning champion of our biggest tournament of the year thus far, of Gamers8, you're going to get into the playoffs. If Clem wins this single best of, effectively this best of one, if he wins this map right now, it is not certain that Reynor advances. What really matters right now is the performance of a couple other players, because that would put Reynor at 2-3. And that is not a safe position to advance from. And luckily for Reynor, at least in part, this has been a fairly, this has been a group covered with a lot of parity. Hero and Clem did great, right? They're both sitting top of the table. But the other four players, well, it's kind of a knife fight. It's kind of a, they're all playing very similar records. Reynor, again, he wins this game. That puts him solid position. That does mean that he kind of gets out regardless. But if he loses this, he's going to have to hope a little bit. Now, of course, for Clem here, even if he wins, he's going to rely on a hero loss in the last round to be able to get out in first place, because he did lose to hero. So that means that hero does have that head-to-head tiebreaker. So if Clem wants to get out in first place, he's going to have to hope that, well, hero advances 3-2 instead of 4-1. And let's be real, because that's kind of like the way Hero is looking, the way Hero's been looking rather recently, and again, just the way that Hero has been, again, the way that the Hero's results in this group thus far, that seems rather unlikely. But once again, we see Clem doing a variance of what he did in game number 1, right? This is the 2 barracks in the wall. This is the Bjorn build, the Maru build, the special build, if you want to really attribute it to whoever did it first. But because Neo-Humanity, because your natural is so far away from your 3rd, and because Clem committed to that 4th Reaper, he's going to get this 3rd base. Reynor is not, he went for, it's not even that greedy. No, yeah, this is a delayed clash, so he's not gonna have speed anyways. The hatch is gonna have to get canceled here. Reynor's in trouble early. I said 4 Reapers. I'm sorry, this is 5 Reapers. This is a lot of damage right now. He can potentially snipe a couple queens, certainly get a lot of drones diving in. 2 workers fall immediately. Well, 1 was at the 3rd, but even still, 1 worker dies. 4 Reapers still there, and 4 Reapers just as good as 5. When talking about killing workers, now granted, talk about killing queens, breakpoints aren't quite there. Getting that 5th, having that additional Reaper is nice, but Clem canceled the 3rd. He got 2 drones. That is all that Clem could ever possibly want. I mean, you know what? He could want more. He could do what Bjorn did to a laser at Yanchiping, where, you know, Bjorn built about 16 Reapers, and he killed a laser with medevac drop Reapers. But again, that's not likely to happen against Reynor. Reynor is just too good for that. Because that game that Bjorn played against the laser was borderline disrespectful. Just a little bit. As the Lings, they're going to look to shark around here. Reapers are going to show up. They say, oh, okay, this is fine. You know, there are Marines behind this. You're not going to find value here, Reynor. Not at all. And behind this, Clem's got a 3rd. His economy. Not only does he cancel the 3rd base of the Zerg, not only does he get a couple drones, his 3rd base ends up being faster at the end of the day. Again, this is Clem having his cake and eating it too. And at this point, I'm very curious to see what exactly Reynor wants to go for, because, well, he tried the roaches in game 1. It didn't really work out super well. Yeah, he got into lurkers, but Clem's tech was so far ahead that didn't matter. It really didn't. I mean, Clem just, he had ghost out by the time the lurkers were out. He had a significant tank count, and just, it didn't work out all that well. This game, though, seems like Reynor's not going to go roaches. He's got, well, double Evo chamber on the way, 1/1 melee on the way here. He's got his 3rd base up. But if you're going to go heavy Ling like this, you got to have a 4th, and ideally you like to have a macro hatch as well. You'd like to be on that 5 hatch, 3 base, 4 base scenario. So for now, the production's not going to be quite where Reynor wants it to be. And one of the ways you can fix this, of course, is go up to 10, 12 queens and have them as kind of that key fighting unit as you get yourself into your additional hatcheries. But for right now, these 3 queens are off creep, and that means one of them, at the very least, is just going to get sniped right on down here, and Clem's going to have to back up for the moment, maybe a little afraid of that number of queens and the Lings, just to buffer for them. And of course, medevac health, a little low, so Clem will back up here. He's going to get his queen. That's probably going to be enough for now. And the other thing we have to point out here is that Reynor, his baneling nest is slow. It is very slow. He's not going to have baneling speed before 10 minutes. The way this is going, maybe 9. But the timing that Clem's going to hit here with 1/1 combat shields, 150 supply maybe, and tanks and everything else, baneling speed won't be done for that at all. In fact, the lair is not even done yet. Clem, he has this incredible window where the tech that his opponent has is just, it's going to be slow. It's not going to hit all that quickly. And that means that he has so much more agency on the map right now. Thinks about sniping a queen, but not enough damage, not yet. Although he does have +1 attack done very soon. And because Marines fire so fast, that is a significant DPS increase. So for now, 1-1 done 10 seconds before the 1-1 of Reynor. It's not a big timing. It's not a big window. And it doesn't really seem like Clem's going to be able to take advantage of it. So Reynor actually, is this a round? Is it a bust? He's positioning himself as if it could be both. But for now, Queens again continue to trade energy for, well, life, for time more than anything else. If you want to think about it that way, these Queens are a time bank, buying time for upgrades, for baneling speed, for whatever it is, but they will not be able to buy the time for this base. Reynor, he's got the forward one, but he's going to lose his second hatchery of the game. And this one's dead. This one is not a cancel. This one's a kill. That's more expensive for a Reynor that is not above 70 workers yet. His economy is not good yet. Now, saving grace here coming out of Reynor is the fact that Clem has forgotten his armory. It's a little bit slow. 2-2 is going to be a little bit slow here, but Clem just commits onto the Queens. He's going to get one. He's going to get two. And yeah, he loses a medevac for it, but that's the time. Really, he's punching time off the clock. He's making the next fight faster. He's making the next fight faster because, again, less Queens or less energy, and it is something that does go kind of exponential. You want to have a lot of Queens if you're playing this style. So Reynor's going to be forced to invest into more, and that, again, it's money that is not spent into an economy that Reynor doesn't properly have. So Clem thinks about pushing forward just a little bit. Not going to be that successful. Not at the moment. Baneling speed is done, and actually was closer to 8 minutes. 8:15. It wasn't quite the 9-minute disaster timing that I was thinking it was going to be, but regardless, Baneling speed's now done. And Clem is doing an incredible job of curtailing the creep, by the way. But here comes Reynor from every single side. There's just not enough the medevacs. The medevac that Clem lost earlier means that he can't save every single Marine. He's going to try to drop on the left side, try to take advantage of this tank positioning, but he gets a decent trade, I guess. But that was a fantastic break there from Reynor. And now Reynor's got his hive done. Vipers, 3 of them on the way here, and this is really what Reynor's been trying to buy time. Now, he can't afford Adrenal yet. He doesn't have any gas. And it seems like Vipers are going to be a little bit more important to him than that Adrenal, than what is effectively an additional +3 for your links. Because, of course, Vipers, they can be a drop defense, they can deny tank pressure, they can do a lot. You can actually use them to force the bio to bug out a little bit, run towards your banelings. If Clem is not actively microing them, it work out fairly well. But regardless, now Adrenal's on the way here. Now Burrow's on the way. +2 Carapace is done. +2 attack is on the way. And Clem doesn't have his upgrades just yet. That armory, that slow armory really coming to bear here. But regardless, the army is still absolutely terrifying. So Reynor, again, he's going to pull drones away, and I think he loses this base. But he's going to try to make the break happen right now. Banelings, Lings, they're going to find their way in. That's a great blinding cloud. My goodness. That's going to be 3 dead tanks here. And that bulwark, that staunch defensive position that Clem tried to set up, the aggressive position that Clem tried to set up, well, it's just not going to work out. Now Widow Mines on the backside here do prevent Reynor from running forward. And the splits from Clem at the end are really nice. But the 3 tanks going down do mean that this position that the Clem is trying to set up, not quite as powerful as it would like. Banelings, though, they're going to fall down to the Widow Mines. And that is more of a problem. Now Clem gets on top of morphing Banelings as well. They're all going to fall down, at least the good majority of them. Medevac's getting targeted down. Banelings, last couple get connections, but it's not going to be enough here. And now the rally through the middle of the map continues. Clem doesn't even care about that base anymore. He wants more. And yes, parasitic bombs are a problem. Blinding clouds are a problem. Widow Mines, friendly fire are a problem. But this army, as it stands, is still powerful here. With the 2-2 done, it's just Lings. But even still, actually, as I say that, Clem does get that extra base. His reinforcements looks like they killed it off, and now target fire on the Banelings as they retreat. Again, friendly fire on the Widow Mines. Again, these parasitic bombs are doing so much to knock down this army of Clem. And it really truly is a saving grace, because Reynor's economy, he's only on 5 bases, and you might say 5 bases is a lot. Not for a 12-minute Zerg. Not with the pressure that Clem's been putting on here. Reynor, more importantly, he's not mining 1,000 gas a minute or whatever you might like to see to move into this army. He's got 600. He's only on 78 drones. His economy is just not good. He doesn't have the gas that he needs to get all of these upgrades and all of this tech. He can't afford +3 attack. He can't afford chitinous plating. The Ultra Cavern's done, but again, there's no gas for the upgrade. He needs time. He needs to start to reestablish his economy, as it seems like a failing landmine that I missed actually got a decent amount of Marines. So that's a start. But Clem's never in one spot at any given time here. He's finding his way onto another base. Those Widow Mines are disgusting. And yeah, they will get submarines, but they get a lot of lings. I mean, just look at this. As this drop on the right side, it seems like medevacs go down. But just look at this. This is 19 kills on this one. I can click on them in time. I'm sorry. But medevacs will go down here. Drops are getting contested with. They're getting dealt with. And the thing we should point out is that despite how broke, really, truly Reynor is, again, 76 workers, doesn't have that. He's only mining 300 casts a minute. He needs those minerals, and he can't afford the gas on top of it. Resources lost are pretty happy. It's only 2,000 in the good for Clem right now in a 13 minute game. Like, Reynor is trading very well. He just doesn't have the economy to support that. He doesn't have this incredible Zerg economy that we would normally see. So Clem, despite not trading in a mammoth way better, he's doing well enough that it's going to be fine. And again, he's going to run forward here. Marauders at the front, just looking to soak up as many Widow Mines as possible. And they will. This army from Reynor is not going to get much done. So now Clem on the left side thinks about it. But again, parasitic bombs. They're going to get a medevac, and Blinding Cloud does force Clem back just a little bit. Even drones pulled from earlier, the Burrowed Banes, they get a couple more, but not the big shot we saw on Babylon. But now Ultras are here. Now, they're not great yet. They just have +2 armor. They don't have kiteness. They don't have +3, but they are still enough to force Clem to kite backwards more and more. And Clem now, well, Widow Mines, well, he's going to get the lings before the Widow Mines go off. That's fine. But Kiteness done in 10, or actually done right now. Carapace done in 9. These Ultras are about to get very, very tanky. And that's going to be a big deal. It means that the Marauders are going to be kind of the only thing that can deal with him. So if Reynor can hit a good surround, maybe, that's going to be a good position for him to be in once again as he tries to stabilize here. His economy is looking a little better now. He is back onto 5-6 bases. Friendly fire again on those Widow Mines is kind of disgusting. That has been doing so much work for Reynor in this game, and the Blinding Clouds as well. Well, parasitic bombs on top of it, medevacs going down, but we talked about Reynor's economy looking good. All of a sudden, it's not, and that's a dead Ultra as well. 17 drones on the Widow Mine drop. On the right side, Reynor is spending so much APM defending this pushing position that Clem had that the shift queued Widow Mines, he wasn't ready for him. Did not defend appropriately, and now you gotta spend larvae, you gotta spend money that you don't have, and Clem dodges the burrowed Widow Mines as well here on the backside, though. Reynor just unburrows, runs him right in, but it doesn't get much done. It gets a Marauder, gets Ghost on the backside, not all that effective. This Widow Mine, though, it's gonna be a little bit nicer, and the split's pretty solid as well, but now Ghosts are on the field. Bye-bye Ultra. And it seems like for now, Reynor is going to have to give this position up. Between the damage that the hatch has taken from his units, between the damage that his hatch has taken from the Vipers, it was already low, and this push was just fantastic. So now the 3-3 bio in a corner here is shredding everything. No one puts bio in a corner, and if they do, they will learn to regret it. That was, again, that wasn't even all that technical from Clem, but Reynor committed to it anyways. He had to kill as much as he could, and it just was not cost effective. So now the Blinding Clouds are nice, and this will be the end of this push for the most part. But again, Clem's got armies on multiple sides. He gets another base on the right side here, and the Ghosts are going to get saved. The most important thing anyways. Widow Mine thinks about burrowing, but does get shut down. And now Reynor desperate. You know it's a desperation play for Reynor. He's getting Infestors. Reynor is one of these players that literally only gets Infestors if his life's on the line. Or maybe it's game one. It's part of the build, but in general, late game, which is much more of a freestyle, you play according to your strengths and according to your comfort. He only gets Infestors when he's like, oh crap, I'm in a problem here. This is not good. So these +2 Adrenalings are going to try to find a run by, but there's just too much here. Too much bio on the reinforcement pattern. Reynor won't find value there. But these Infestors are going to have to do so much. As the Viper will fall once again. These Infestors have to be worth their weight in oh so much, but they're burrowed, and this is a shot. This is a start here. The army runs forward, and now Reynor just has to make sure that they're not in scan range of creep. That's how you accidentally lose an Infestor, and again, Reynor can't afford to lose that. His economy, he's down 2 bases here. He has to start taking some really cost-effective fights, and in the last minute or so, they haven't been. The last couple minutes, he has been trading worse and worse here, but this is a start here. Run by into the main base, into the natural. Lings getting on top of Ghost are going to be really nice. Here comes the Infestor. The army's clumping, and the Fungal. Widowmine kills the Infestor, but that doesn't matter. What a Fungal from Reynor. He gets so much there, and this might turn into more here. He's got Infestors. Lings should start to come on in reinforcements. This might be a base on top of that. SCVs will fall. Reynor starting to try to find the comeback back into this game. The Lings, though, they're just gonna have to buffer, and the Ultras are not on top of the SCVs, not just yet. The Lings, though, they do kill this army. The Medivacs are out of energy. They're going to be out of life soon on that parasitic bomb. 3 Medivacs go down, and the base falls here as well. 22 SCVs hit the deck. All of a sudden, Clem's bank is gone. Clem's economy is gone. But his army supply here, it's still double what the Zerg has. And a Widowmine, I guess that was from downtown. It kills an Infestor. So great moves there from Reynor, but he needs, as much as we're talking about how this was an incredible move from Reynor, he needs so much more. He needs to buy 2-3 minutes, and he needs to not lose another base. He needs to establish this base, or maybe take the bottom left side, I don't know, but he needs another base here, and he needs to get that army supply up once again. He needs another massive Fungal. And hey, you know what? That Infestor is in position. That Infestor is thinking about it. It's ready. But the army needs to clump up again. Reynor needs to find his timing. Banelings are going to run forward, and they're going to get a solid trade. That Fungal, it's asking for it here. Reynor, are you going to find it? But he needs army on the front lines as well. That's the problem here, and he misses the... Well, he gets the Fungal, actually. And the Blinding Clouds as well. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought, but no, it absolutely is. Reynor doesn't have enough. He missed the Fungal, and he needed a miracle to win this game, to win this series. And now, Reynor goes down to 2-3, but luckily for him, Firefly had a bunch of 2-1s, had a bunch of 1-2s, and that means that Reynor has the map score. So he advances in the last advancing place here in Group B. But he does move forward. And Clem takes an incredible, what a series, 60 minutes of just back and forth action. This doesn't get your blood up. If this doesn't remind you how good we have it as Starcraft fans, I don't even know what is. What a series.